Hello everybody, welcome back to another predictions video. This is like the third predictions in 2 days. Yeah, this is Kingpyn high stakes tournament. Very high stakes, a lot of very good fighters, male and female. I like that they did 2 tournaments. It just maximizes the amount of entertainment we're getting from this event, deepens all the cards, and I like the way they set up this tournament as well. It's very nicely set up. There's a lot of big names, a lot of names that everybody knows, a lot of names that are pretty unknown, and a lot of new guys that are coming up, becoming popular with the fans. A lot of older names, veterans as well. Just a mix of everything, man. Every organization, every promotion, every kind of background, they're all coming together in this Kingpyn tournament, and I like that a lot. It's a very nicely built tournament, pretty nicely stacked. We've got fighters such as AnEsonGib, McBroom, Elle, Brooke, Blueface, Ed Matthews. We've got Tom Zanetti, Jarvis, Kingpyn, my mate Nate's becoming popular with everybody now. Barbie 6, and the sister of Elle Brooke, Emily Brooke. So, yeah, nicely stacked card, I would say. And then in the next 2 events that come after this one, it's all going to be the same people, or at least in the tournament part. I don't know about Blueface and Ed Matthews, but yeah, the tournament format, it's all going to be the same people there. So, let's get straight into it with the first fight. Emily Brooke versus Amber O'Donnell. With this fight, I feel like just because Emily Brooke is the sister of Elle Brooke will not allow Emily Brooke to lose this fight. Also, the fact that Amber O'Donnell doesn't seem to have too much experience in fighting. I don't know a lot about the girls on this tournament. At least most of them. I don't know too much. So if I get something wrong, that's my bad. But Emily Brooke just has the sister as Elle Brooke. It's gonna be pretty hard for her to lose this fight. Not just as a fight, just as the reputation that the family, I guess, that the name holds. So I'm sure Elle Brooke is pushing Emily Brooke in the gym to put in them hard rounds in whether it's sparring or just getting in shape. So you know what? I'm gonna pick Emily Brooke. I'm gonna pick her by decision. These are all 5-round fights. These are long fights, very long fights. So we'll see if they're actually able to make it that entire decision. But I say they gas out around the 2nd or 3rd round and then just keeps going from there. I say Emily Brooke takes a 49-46 or 48-47. But I think the judges will have it in favor for her regardless. We're going to move on to Barbie 6 versus Whitney Johns. And with this fight, Barbie 6 is someone who has been training for some time. I know she was meant to fight on Misfit Series 3 before she had to pull out a week before. Or not, it was a few days before the fight was meant to happen. Whitney Johns, she doesn't seem to have much fighting experience. Pretty sure, is Whitney Johns the tall one? One of them is just really, really tall. Pretty sure that's Amber O'Donnell. Or no, that's Danielka. Yeah, it's Miss Danielka, the one that's really tall. Both of these girls are really tall as well, so they look, like even compared to each other, but Barbie 6 is around 6 feet tall. Whitney Johns is around that same height as well. So, very interesting fight between 2 very tall people. I say Barbie 6 takes it just because she's the more experienced one, or at least that's what it appears to be on the surface. But as we saw with Fangs versus Alina Vampira, what we see on the outside, what we see online in the training camps or whatever, doesn't always translate into fights. There's always something we're missing when it comes to people that we don't know enough about. So who knows? But as far as I know, Barbie 6 should take this fight, and I'm going to take it by decision. I say it's going to be a somewhat good fight. I say it's going to be an okay fight. Very, very long. There's going to be a lot of jabbing, a lot of straight shots. But I say Barbie 6 takes it by decision. Next fight, we've got my mate Nate versus Kingpyn. Now, this fight is very interesting, and it's very low down on the card as well, which I do like because we're getting entertainment. We're getting the really good cards early. Now, Kingpyn, he is the faster, more technical fighter. He has better distance control as well, I would say. Nate is stronger, he's tougher, and he's much more experienced. He's been fighting for a few years now. Kingpyn's coming off of that loss to Ashley Raksu, where he was upset in fashion. Well, not really in fashion because it was like a decision, but he lost pretty much every round. You could really only give him one round if you really wanted to, but clearly lost that fight, and his stock has just not been the same. A lot of people are doubting him in this fight. Not a lot of people think he will win. In terms of winning, what Kenny would have to do, he'd have to be more active. That's why he lost the fight to Ashley Raxus, because he wasn't active enough for this fight. For sure, he has to be active. He'll have to land more shots as well. He'll have to get in and out quickly, and he'll have to keep the shots quick. He'll also have to avoid some of these stronger shots that my mate Nate will bring to him, because my mate Nate does hit decently hard. So he doesn't have that kind of knockout power, but he'll hit you hard. It's kind of like Volkanovski. Not like crazy KO power, but he'll hit you pretty damn hard. That's kind of where my mate Nate is at in terms of influencer boxing. In terms of Nate's route to victory, how does he win this fight? Pressure. He'll have to put on that pressure. He'll have to defend some of the attacks as well, because Kenny will be the faster fighter. He'll have to avoid the jab, because Kenny will land that jab a lot, and Nate will have to be avoiding that at all times, just to make sure that Kenny doesn't rack up, just total strikes over him. Also, the power shots. Pressure with power shots. Not too much. I know Nate's got a decent enough gas tank. He's been fighting for long enough. He hits much harder. He'll have to use that to his advantage. The pressure, you've got to put that on Kenny. When you put that on Kenny, even Ashley Raxu didn't put that much pressure on Kenny. He still won the fight. So imagine what Nate would do with enough pressure as an experienced enough fighter, because we saw what faced temper when he put pressure on Kenny. They were both same level of experience, same level of inexperience is really the better term. This fight's different. Nate would have to be putting on that pressure and keep the pressure on Kenny. Kenny will have to be very composed in this fight for sure, but he'll also have to be more active, has to be more comfortable in himself and in his ability to throw strikes. Now, who do I think is going to win this fight? It's a tough one. It's a very tough one. It was very hard for me to pick, but Kenny is the underdog in this fight. But he is right now the number 3 ranked cruiserweight in Misfits Boxing. If he were to lose to my mate Nate is good. But if he were to lose, it would not look good. Definitely not. It put him on a 2-fight losing streak. He's never been on a losing streak in his entire career. So, you know what? I am slightly leaning towards King Kenny to win by split decision specifically. I think he wins split decision. I think it'll be a very close fight. The rounds will be hard. Some of the rounds will be hard to decide. Some of the rounds will be clear. I think it might even be a robbery. Who knows? But I feel like just in the UK, Kenny just excels, man. He's very popular among the judges in the UK. So if he's convincing enough, he'll be able to take a decision. The judges will be able to comfortably give it to him, and that's the way I see this fight possibly going. So I'm saying King Kenny, split decision there in a fight that might be a robbery. Then we got Jarvis versus Tom Zanetti. Very interesting fight here. This is the fight that I didn't want to see. This is the fight that I really didn't want to see between Jarvis and Tom Zanetti. But now, when the fight was first announced, I was thinking, okay, please don't put Jarvis against Tom Zanetti. It happened. I was like, oh, it's not what I wanted to see. But now it's like, yeah, this is the one I want to see. Because originally, Jarvis has fought at 150 pounds. Tom Zanetti is a 175-pounder, right? I thought the size difference would be very noticeable. Thought it would just be a completely unfair fight. Guess what? They made weight. They're within a few pounds of each other. The height difference isn't that much different. It's only a 2-inch advantage for Tom Zanetti. The reach isn't too much different either. So you know what? And the trash talk is great. Everything's great. I'm happy with this fight. Very comfortable with this fight, and I think the right matchups for this card were made, at least for the most part. Like, I wouldn't say the best case scenario, but very good matchmaking. Even though it was completely from just a game of chance, did us well regardless. And with this fight, Jarvis is coming off of that win over Michael Lee, where he got a second round knockout in that fight. And that was June 2021. That was around 18 months ago. According to Wade Plem, that was 18 months ago. And since then, he's been training nonstop. Ever since he got banned from Fortnite, he's just been on it. I don't know what it is. When you just have nothing else to do, you just become a fighter, and you just fight and you train in Mayweather gym and you fight Floyd Mayweather in sparring. I guess that's just where you go next. But he has not fought since that fight, but he has been training the entire time since. Tom Zanetti, on the other hand, in his last fight, it was his debut. They're both coming off their debuts, except Tom Zanetti's debut was a Misfits Boxing light heavyweight title shot, and he gave Slim his hardest fight to date. Very impressive. He's number 2 at light heavyweight, and this is a very tough fight for him. If the number 2 light heavyweight, who just gave Slim a run for his money, very tough fight, were to lose this fight to Jarvis, it would not be a good look for Misfits Boxing, for Slim. You know, it would just not be a good look. Jarvis would definitely have a lot of stock after that if that were to happen. Jarvis, the thing is though, with Jarvis, I don't think he'll have the power to hurt Zanetti the way Slim did. Slim's got really good power, and Zanetti took all those shots on the chin. Jarvis, his power's not there. He's a lighter guy, and with Michael Lee, the shots were nice. He does have decent power, but it's just not that Slim power. It's not that Slim power, and Zanetti can take that Slim power on the chin. He'll be able to take Jarvis's shots for sure, I feel like. At least, well, here's the thing. Jarvis for sure has probably improved his power since then, but from what we know right now and what we've seen, Zanetti will be able to take every shot. Almost every shot Jarvis throws at him. Zanetti took very clean shots from Slim, who's very powerful. Both of their last fights, Zanetti fought 20 pounds heavier than Jarvis. Jarvis fought around 150, Zanetti fought around 170, 174, something like that. It's very big difference, but it will definitely play a role in power, even though they are the same weight now. The weight you were before plays a role. Trust that it plays a role. Zanetti is overall the bigger guy, but he has much less experience. I think Jarvis will be able to overcome the power of Zanetti. I think he'll be able to. He will be faster, he will be more technical, and he won't gas early, Jarvis. One of them was winning 48-47. Jarvis is faster, more technical, and he's the more experienced fighter. He's also used to fighting at a lighter weight class. Tom Zanetti is stronger, he's wilder, and has the better chin, but he's also used to fighting at a heavier weight class. For Jarvis to win this fight, he'll have to survive the early pressure that Zanetti will bring to him. He'll hit punches in the right places, land punches in the right places, land more punches overall in order to win over rounds. Keep head movement to avoid wild shots. He had very nice head movement against Michael Lee. If he brings that same head movement into this fight, or even for sure it's more improved now, he'll be able to cruise to a decision for sure. For Zanetti to win this fight, he'll have to use his power for sure. He cannot gas, especially not early, but he cannot gas at any point in this fight because it will be a back and forth. He'll have to hit hard. He'll have to hit Jarvis with some shots that he's going to feel them. He'll have to feel some of these shots. He'll have to gain the respect from Tom Zanetti's punches in order to keep a certain amount of distance away. You know, keep away from those shots, and then Zanetti from a distance with longer reach. He might be able to get some success there as well. He'll have to use pressure, but not too much pressure, because too much pressure, he will probably gas. He'll also have to keep his distance, like I said. For this fight, one of them was winning 48-47. I just know it. And I'm going to have to go with Jarvis. I'm going to go with Jarvis, 48-47 unanimous decision. It's a close fight. For sure, it's a close fight. I think Jarvis is going to win this fight. And then it's going to bring up a conversation about Misfits boxers. Jarvis is going to have to... he's not going to have to do anything. What I'm saying is a lot of the fans are going to say, like, well, if Jarvis beat Tom Zanetti like that, then imagine how he'll beat Slim, or anybody else at light heavyweight, or maybe even middleweight, like maybe let's say a Deji, or maybe even guys like Chris Avila or Face Temper, Anthony Taylor. Who knows? It's just, if he wins this fight and if he wins convincingly enough, a lot of conversation will be brought up. And Jarvis's next move, probably after this whole tournament, maybe Misfits boxing. That'd be where a lot of good matchups will be, and he'd be a great addition to the roster, of course. But Tom Zanetti, man, A lot of pressure is on him to win this fight for sure. Next fight, we have Daniella Hemsley versus Jully Poca. That's the name they've given her on the stage and everything, Jully Poca. With this fight, listen, I don't know anything about either of these girls, but Hemsley is training in Leon Edwards' gym. I found that out. I cannot pick against her for that reason, man. I see the first round being kind of wild, not much technique, but in the second round, Hemsley starts fighting the bigger combinations and dominating the striking, and then the referee will have to step in that round. It's a grudge match for sure. All the female fights on this card are grudge matches. They all don't like each other, so I think that's very interesting. And I say Daniella Hemsley takes it TKO in the second by just referee stepping in there. She's been training with Leon Edwards, so a lot of pressure on her to not lose this fight, and I don't see her losing the fight. So you know what? Hemsley by round 2 stoppage. Next fight, we got Whindersson Nunes taking on Filipek. That's the stage name they've given him, is Filipek. Whindersson Nunes is actually 1-0 in boxing, amateur boxing. Back in 2019, he fought Mario Silva. That's Mario Silva's only fight to date, but it was a Brazilian thing. They're both Brazilians. I think it was a Brazilian organization. He's also had a fight at the beginning of 2022, around a year ago, January 30th, 2022. He fought Aislino Freitas in exhibition boxing. And if we look at Filipek, he's a guy who's had a kickboxing background. He's fought already this year in kickboxing. He lost that fight though. He's also fought in MMA. He's got a 2-2 MMA record. His debut fight was in 2019. Again, they've started fighting around the same time, with Filipek starting a bit earlier. He lost that fight to another guy making his debut. And then he won 2 straight off of guys making their debuts. Then he fought a guy who was 2-3, lost to him. That was his MMA career. He hasn't fought in MMA since October of 2021. In kickboxing, he's gone 1-1. He won his debut kickboxing fight in the first round, but then lost his second fight. That took place this year by unanimous decision. Now it takes on Whindersson Nunes. And if we look at the records of some of the guys he's fought, if we look at the records of the guys he's beaten, right? If we look at, let's say, Lucas Emielowski, for example, I don't got it pulled up here. Lucas Emielowski is 0-1 still. He has not fought since he lost to Filipek. And if we look at the other guy, Michael Sobolewski, if it would come up, but maybe my computer froze. He also hasn't fought since. And he's very old. He's 46 years old. Jesus Christ. He was born in the 70s. 46 years old. Old guy. These are kind of like Poland regional fights. All these guys that he's fought are Polish. Not very good records, clearly. And if we look at the guy that he beat in kickboxing by knockout in the first round, let's just look at his record. He's 2-11. That's 2 wins, 11 losses. He's 49 years old, even older than the last guy. If you just look at his topology, it's full of just 1 minute, less than 1 minute, first round, all in the first round knockouts. And the guys that he's beaten are 0-16. And in his most recent fight, his most recent win, that guy was making his debut. So it's just, kickboxing and MMA. This guy's winless, completely winless in kickboxing. He had 1 fight in kickboxing against Filipek, lost that. Before that, he was 1-11 in MMA. Won 1 fight after fighting Filipek, won that fight against the debuting guy. So, these are the guys that Filipek is beating. Now, let's look at the guys that Filipek is losing to, right? Filipek, in his debut fight, he lost to a guy in Patrick Carras. He's 2-1 currently, so he's been at least somewhat active. He had a fight in 2021, end of 2021 there. Okay, now let's look at the next loss he had, which was his last MMA fight to date. It was against Amadeus Roslik. He was 2-3 at the time of fighting Filipek. He is now 5-4 in MMA. He's had a boxing fight, lost. He had a kickboxing fight, lost that one as well. Just not a good look for him there when you're winless in kickboxing and boxing. And then when he lost to Robert Carras in his last fight, Filipek was his only fight. So, you know what? It's just not the best look for Filipek here. And if we look at Whindersson Nunes, I talked about Alessandro Freitas, but I didn't actually go over his record. His record on Tapology stands at 41-2. Right? 41 wins and 2 losses. And Whindersson Nunes drew him. He drew this guy. Granted, this guy's he's pretty old. He's 47. He's not the tallest guy either. He's 5'6". He doesn't have a crazy reach, but the experience there, and for him to draw, is pretty impressive. Also, he got a knockout win in 2022. Did Freitas? Let's look at who it was against. First round knockout win. Who did he beat? A 29-16 guy. Another impressive record. Not impressive record, but a decent record. Better record than any of the guys that Filipek has won or lost to. So what I'm taking from this is Filipek is a guy who's not very skilled. He wins some, he loses some. He's not high level. Whindersson Nunes, on the other hand, can hang with veterans, can hang with guys who have won many, many times. So what do I get from this fight? I get a Whindersson win. I see a finish. I see a possible finish, but here's the thing: Filipek has never been finished in his career, kickboxing or MMA professionally. He's never been finished, and Whindersson Nunes has never gotten a finish. So actually, that fight with with Mario Silva, that was a decision. So you know what? I'm gonna take Whindersson Nunes. I'm gonna take him by a comfortable, unanimous decision win, 49-46, maybe even 50-45. 49-46, that's where I see this fight going. For Whindersson Nunes, I say he moves on. Next fight, Blueface versus Ed Matthews. With this fight, Blueface has not fought since July of 2021, whereas Ed Matthews hasn't fought since July of 2022. So, very big difference in terms of activity. That's an entire extra year off for Blueface that he's taken. Definitely not boxing. Although he has been training for a few fights. He trained for the fight with Face Temper. He trained for that fight with Nick Young, Swaggy P. He ended up being taken off of both of those cards. He got taken off of the Temper card, replaced with Slim. Taken off of the Swaggy P fight, replaced with Minicon. Both of those replacements won those fights. So it's kind of like, what if? What if Blueface actually faced them? What would have happened on those fight nights? Misfits Boxing would be much different. Much different. We wouldn't really have a mini-con. Slim wouldn't be at that kind of level of star power. So maybe it's all worked out for the best of the company of Misfits Boxing, but Blueface versus Ed Matthews, who wins this fight? Blueface in his last fight back in July of 2021, he went up against Kane Trujillo, where he won the fight by unanimous decision, clearly won all 3 rounds. Didn't send, or no, he did, I'm pretty sure, right? He got like a knockdown, or was it like a knock, something that should have been a knockdown? But Blueface clearly won that fight. Did all right, but Kane took most of the shots, not well, but he was able to take them. Ed Matthews in his last fight, he went up against Simple Simon back in 2022 of July, 1 year later, or almost 1 year later, because it was like a week before 1 year later, to Blueface's last fight. Knocked the guy out in the first round. Looked okay. His technique wasn't really all there, but the power seemed to be there. I mean, against the old guy, you're gonna look like you're Mike Tyson, obviously, but in terms of just boxing, who do I think is training harder for this fight? Who do I think is more prepared for the other? I think Ed Matthews is. That might be crazy of me to say, but I think truly Ed Matthews is most likely more focused just in the game, more focused in boxing and winning this fight specifically. Blueface, he's been doing everything else he's been doing some boxing. We've seen his training footage. We saw that disgusting clip that I don't want to see ever again. And we know he's in the gym. We know he's doing hard rounds. You know he's getting in shape, and especially since this fight was added pretty short notice, kind of like a week, 2 weeks before this card was meant to happen. Even though most of these fighters knew this card was happening many months before, this fight was kind of added kind of late. You know, it's not even a part of the tournament. Pretty sure this is the wild card matchup. I don't know what that means, but I'm assuming maybe if one of the guys pulls out, the winner of this fight steps in. That's what I'd assume is happening here. Maybe. Who knows? But in terms of who I think is more focused, who I think is going to be the better boxer in this fight, I say Blueface is going to be longer. For sure he's going to be longer. He might land more shots as well. I think it's going to be a 48-47. Could go either way. But in total, I see Ed Matthews landing harder shots. Blueface hits hard. Both of these guys hit pretty hard. But I'm going to take Ed Matthews by decision. If Blueface wins, I wouldn't be surprised either. It's a close fight. Not really short notice fight, but still a pretty close fight. And excited for sure. Excited for this fight. It's a very fun matchup. Next fight is the kind of co-main event, but it is also like the big fight of the women's tournament. This is Elle Brooke, number 1 ranked in I forgot the weight division. She's number 1 ranked though in that division, and number 2 pound for pound in my opinion in terms of all female influencer boxers. She's going up against Miss Danielka, who's very tall, very very tall. But Elle Brooke is used to fighting taller opponents. In fact, she's had 2 fights, won both of them. Both of those opponents were much taller than her. And I even thought Faith Ordway was going to find a way to beat her because of that length. Clearly not. Very much clearly not. Elle Brooke, built like Brock Lesnar. She hits too hard. That pressure's too much. She's improving her style. She's improving on her power and her technique. She's got more of that dog in her now. I just see her doing the same thing that she did to Faith Ordway. I see her doing the same thing to Miss Danielka. I have Elle Brooke winning by knockout in the first. Maybe knockout in the second instead, but I don't see this fight going the distance for sure. Elle Brooke is finishing Danielka inside the first 3 for sure. Maybe even if it's like the 4th or 5th round. Danielka's not going the distance. She's just not. For sure, she's not going the distance. She's also not as tall as she's seen. I'm pretty sure she wears platforms. Because if you saw her shoes, she's got pretty big shoes. I think if I'm thinking about the right person, because sometimes I mix the people up, she's not as tall as she's made out to be. So Elle Brooke, clearly she's at a high-end reach disadvantage, but that won't matter in the fight. Trust me, it won't matter in that fight. Now the kind of main event, but it is pretty much acting as like the main attraction to the men's tournament. This is AnEsonGib versus Austin McBroom 2. This is the rematch. First fight, Austin McBroom was clearly winning the fight the first 2 rounds. He even got a knockdown in the first. But then for Gib, in the 3rd round, got 2 knockdowns, stole the entire fight back. And then in the 4th round, that was just it. That was just it. Got 3 more knockdowns, and then that was it. For this fight, I'm torn between 2. Either Gib is knocking McBroom out again, earlier or later. He's either knocking McBroom out again, or he's taking him to a decision. And I'm not really sure which one to pick, because Gib has power. We found that out recently. We didn't see any of his power in whether it was the Jake Paul fight or in his Taylor Holder fight. We didn't see any amount of power. Now he fights Austin McBroom, and all of a sudden, when he gets a fire lit under him, when he gets knocked down, all of a sudden he's got power. He's able to put Austin down multiple times, rock him badly, very badly. In fact, if my previous 2 statements weren't enough, rocked Austin very badly, multiple times, 5 times to be exact, 5 knockdowns in total. And McBroom, I just don't really see how he wins this fight. McBroom doesn't win this fight. For sure he doesn't win this fight. At first, I didn't want this fight to be like the first one in the quarterfinals because I thought it should have been something we saw down the line. But if we know how this fight's going to go already, why would we want it down the line? We'd rather get it out the way right away, right? And it's a good main event as well. Gib versus Austin McBroom 2. Did he really deserve the rematch? Most likely not. Did he want the rematch? It didn't look like he did, but again, I'm not Austin McBroom. I don't know. But it does not look like he wanted that rematch. He's been very quiet. He's been much more humble. I feel like he probably knows he's going to lose this fight. Gib is at an all-time confidence now. For McBroom to maybe get some of Gib's respect, you'll have to hit him with a big shot. Maybe even set him down. That would bring a lot of confidence back to McBroom. He would be a lot smarter in the fight. He wouldn't be showboating. He wouldn't be slacking off, acting like he's winning the whole fight. Even if he is, he cannot be doing that. He's got to be focused. He's got to watch out for the big shots and counter them as well. For Gib, he's just got to land heavy. Land heavy shots, be technical. Gas tank's got to be on point for both of these guys because it might go the distance if McBroom is improved. If he's not improved at all, or if he's only improved slightly, Gib's gonna knock him out again, earlier or later, second or fourth, or it will be earlier for sure. Actually, it'll definitely be earlier because he knocked him out in the fourth, and if McBroom doesn't show up prepared enough, Gib will knock him out in the second, third, or fourth. So a lot of this is on Austin McBroom. Is he training properly enough for this matchup against AnEsonGib? I don't think he's training hard enough to beat him. So you know what? I'm taking Gib. Don't really know which one to give him, but I'll say McBroom goes the distance. Moral victory for him there. But I say it's a UD. I don't see McBroom taking this fight at all. Gib is clearly going to win. And yeah, the next few fights are going to be interesting, entertaining. June 3rd, I'm pretty sure, is the next fight. It's going to take place in Dublin, Ireland. So yeah, these have been all my picks for the Kingpyn high stakes tournament. Very good tournament. Very nicely stacked tournament. This should be kind of like a once a year thing, in my opinion. This should be something we see like annually, because I like this a lot. But also we should see some of these fighters on Misfits Boxing, in my opinion. We gotta see some of them on there. Like Gib, I know he denied Misfits Boxing contract in order to be on this tournament, which maybe it's the right move. Definitely the more entertaining move. Definitely more money was involved in this one. That's why he took it. But yeah, regardless, very fun fight. I like also how Misfits Boxing was, just chill with lending over some of their fighters to be able to compete, like Tom Zanetti or like King Kenny. I think that's really cool. And yeah, this video is long enough. Let's hope my picks go well. And fights take place in a couple hours. It's very early in the morning for me. So actually, it's not even that early. It's like later in the morning now. I haven't slept, and I gotta fix my sleep schedule. So yeah, I'm gonna get to doing that because I'm finally done making predictions. Finally. So yeah, very excited for these fights tomorrow. Super excited for sure.